Joining us now to talk about this deal with the fake Amazon reviews and how to spot them is Stephen Pope. Stephen's become an international thought leader, visionary on Amazon. He shares trade secrets on his YouTube and podcast. And Stephen, thanks for joining us this afternoon on the drive home for a Monday. Appreciate you taking your time.
Thanks for having me.
Well, and so what is going on with this? There's been some lawsuits that have popped up, and I use Amazon reviews as a kind of a guideline on whether a product is worth getting. What is going on with these fake reviews? Why are they there, and why do we need to watch out for them?
Well, I think it's, I'll talk about the court case first. So Amazon is going after two companies, AppSally and Rebate, and basically these two companies were paying for reviews. So they would give money back in the consumer's pockets if they left a favorable 5-star review. And, of course, Amazon doesn't want this to happen because then people are gaming the review system on Amazon. The consumer loses confidence. So if you think about it, like the average conversion rate on Amazon.com is anywhere from 15 to 20%. But on a regular website, like take a Shopify or a WordPress website, conversion rate could be anywhere from 1 to 3%. So Amazon has solved for conversion and it's become the dominant marketplace. They're half the economy. That's why the scale of the situation is so large. So if consumers lose confidence in the reviews on Amazon, that conversion rate is going to go down. So this is why it matters. And as for the court case, I think Amazon's going to dominate. They're going to totally crush and win. AppSally and Rebate are going to have to give over all of their documents. That means Amazon's going to collect all of the data of the consumers who wrote these reviews, and they're gonna blacklist them in some way. So really big issue, and definitely a lot going on with it.
I do know that, and this is from people I know that have had personal experience that, and I don't know whether it's either of those particular deals, but they'd order something and have a negative review of the product, and then be contacted by that person saying, "Hey, here's your money back. Take your, if you'll remove that review." Not exactly the same situation, but it seems to me that this idea of having honesty and transparency in reviews is you're right, it's one of the main things Amazon has going for it.
Well, I think the FCC is going to back up Amazon because the whole point of having transparent information about products and consumers are able to trust that information. So that's why I think it's a slam dunk court case. But in terms of like giving money back for a negative review, I actually think that's a good practice.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing as like going into a Kohl's or going into a Target and saying, "Hey, I don't have a good experience," and they make you whole by refunding the purchase.
True,
right?
true.
It's like you give the item back, you get a refund. But Amazon, to the point you brought up though, Amazon has started to prohibit that. They've actually made it really difficult for Amazon sellers to get back in touch with consumers. And they've really disabled all of the marketing components like emails, and you can't even respond to negative reviews on the seller platform anymore. So I run an agency called My Amazon Guy. We have over 200 brands that we work with, and the reason I'm in business is because the platform itself is really hard to navigate and really hard to sell on. And Amazon.com is very much a buyer-centric platform, and that will never, ever change. And so sellers are always trying to go around and do things to navigate the complex ecosystem and find any win on the board they can. Well, review generation strategies are very much, in the spotlight right now, and they're probably going to have to pivot away from these kinds of strategies because of that.
How difficult is this to enforce, though? I mean, in tracking down these things and finding, discerning a made-up review from one that isn't?
I think it's extraordinarily difficult because, like, a lot of reviews that somebody might write might just be like 5 stars, loved it, right? But I think the consumer can track some of these reviews to some sense. There's kind of two ways I personally identify as ways the consumer could protect themselves. So way number one, if you go up on a listing and you notice that there's a high proportion of 1-star reviews, so let's say 30% 1-star reviews, 65% 5-star, and somewhere in between for the rest. Anything above 5 or 6% of 1-star reviews, that's a pretty good indication that there's something going on with the listing that may not be a good idea to make a purchase. And so what could happen is they might flood it with 5 stars to try and, weight down those 1-star reviews. So I think that's the first and probably the easiest and most obvious way for a consumer to say, hey, there's something fishy here. I probably shouldn't buy this product. The second way is to read the actual reviews. So a consumer could go down in the review section and maybe they're shopping for a chef's knife, but they see a sponge referenced in the review. It sounds weird, I know, but what happens is a seller will have 2 products, one that's discontinued, that's got lots of reviews on it previously, and then they launch their new item, and they might combine the products or reuse the old UPC code or whatever on the listing, and that's a bad consumer experience because all of those reviews that are for the old discontinued product still show up on the new one. And so that's the second way I think consumers can protect themselves preventing this. But as it relates to the court case, those incentivized reviews, not very easy to trace at all, unfortunately.
And, of course, that court case was filed, I guess it was Tuesday, right? Last Tuesday.
Yeah, fairly new, and I think it's going to be a slam dunk. I think Amazon's probably going to file a motion with the court to shut these companies down and get an injunction or something to that effect. And honestly, I think they're going to win.
All right. Well, we've been talking with Stephen Pope. He's an international thought leader, visionary on Amazon, and you share. Tell everybody about your YouTube and podcast channels, real quick.
Yeah, so I kind of have a Gary Vee thing going on. I have over 900 videos where I just share everything about Amazon from a seller perspective, and that's really how I grew my company, is just sharing all of the trade secrets behind what it's like to be an Amazon seller. And I sell on Amazon myself. I've got products, and it's not always easy to navigate all of this, and it's a lot of trouble sometimes as you're trying to figure out, okay, what's Amazon's untransparent policy, or what are they going to crack down on next, or, things like that.
All right. Well, Stephen, we appreciate you being on and talking about this. And, of course, as a person that uses I hope that Amazon does get this thing taken care of, because I do like having a trustworthy review system, because that's where I'm getting half of the stuff I know we encourage people to shop local here on the radio, but sometimes you can't find a certain spice, or whatever. So anyway.
All I can say is God bless the trash man, because the amount of brown Amazon boxes being piled up in my driveway after each week buying stuff on Amazon. I mean, yeah, it's half the economy for a reason.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, Stephen, thanks for joining us on the drive home here in Brownwood this afternoon.